following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the WZWA network and our review show here of Impact Wrestling's No Surrender pay-per-view here in 2022. I'm your host with the most on the West Coast, Karlifornia in Fury. What a joy, honor, privilege to be with you all once again. And speaking of joy, honor, and privilege, right here, right now, I have my best friend from Wales here on the call with me here today, my best friend from Wales. We've been connected over the internet for quite some time now. He's the 21st century digital boy. He's a pro wrestling fan, YouTuber, Twitch streamer. He is the one, he is the only, he's the incomparable RhystleMania. What's going on, bro?
Yo, Carl, I gotta say thanks. That's probably the best intro I've ever had. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. Like you said, I've followed you guys for a while. Big fan of what you guys are doing on the channel, you know, the interviews, the streams, really entertaining. When you asked me to be part of this, I absolutely jumped in it because I've heard a rumor on the grapevine that this is where the shit is fucking at.
Fantastic.
Can you confirm?
Yeah, I can confirm that 100%. It is where the shit's fucking at. Thank you, Reese, for that. It's a joy to have you here, bro. For those out there, RhystleMania and the WZWA network, we connected through watching each other on Twitch and supporting each other. So it's just great to collaborate with you, and you know, hopefully this is the beginning of a beautiful partnership here, my friend. So Impact Wrestling. I need to ask you out of the gate, Reese. Have you been watching Impact Wrestling over the last few years? What's kind of your fandom relationship with that company?
Yeah, so on and off. So pre-pandemic, so we're talking like 2018, 2019 time, I did actually have a podcast where I'd review Impact, not just Impact, but we'd review basically anything that wasn't WWE, so Impact, Ring of Honor, MLW, all that kind of stuff. So I did like kind of follow Impact regularly, watch the weekly show, watch the pay-per-views. I did fall out with it quite a bit during the pandemic. I've got to admit, I didn't really keep up with it. I did watch the pay-per-view still. And the past year or two, probably not watched as much, but I did watch the most recent pay-per-view. Was it Hard to Kill?
Kill, yeah.
And then, of course, this one now. So it's starting to get back into it. We're going way back in the day. A huge TNA fan growing up. In fact, like I probably like TNA more than WWE. That was probably the case for a lot of people here in the UK. It was broadcast on free TV. So TNA back in the day, very, very popular in the UK.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that kind of thing. I remember TNA actually used to draw higher ratings with Impact than Raw did in Australia. So it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how kind of they had this popularity, and the ratings were higher in different parts of the world, but just never seemed to keep that spot that they were in, right? But you know, I've been watching Impact since I believe the first review we did was Bound for Glory last year. So I've been keeping up with the pay-per-views. The last few weeks I have been watching the TV show as well, but I've just been very impressed over the last few months that I've seen them, especially with Hard to Kill. I thought that was, without a doubt, so far this year, the best wrestling pay-per-view that's been on, which isn't too hard to fucking do because all the other stuff we've seen is WWE's just, I don't want to get into it, but I was very upset with the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. But anyway, Reese, let's crack on with it. Yeah, man. Let's crack on with it. I'm going to quickly run through the pre-show here because as Reese started watching, we didn't realize that this was actually the pre-show taking place. I thought this was the beginning of the show. John Skyler, Trey Miguel started things off. I thought there was a great finishing sequence there with Miguel getting the win with the Meteora. There was also a Team Impact interview with the big-eyed Gia backstage. And, of course, was stoked to see Australia's own Tenille Dashwood with the influence against Havoc and Rosemary at ringside there. Thought the finish of that was great. Good to see a tombstone utilized as a finisher for once. So that was good stuff. Good way to kind of warm ourselves up for the pay-per-view. But RhystleMania, I'm going to throw it to you here first. I want to know your thoughts on the opening contest of the pay-per-view. No surrender. It's Chris Bay. It's Ace Austin with Madman Fulton. It's Jake something, and it's Mike Bailey. Four-way. I guess this is kind of like a situation where people are getting to through the rankings of the X division. What did you think of this opening contest?
I thought this was a good match to get us going. Like, obviously, the X division was signature division of Impact. So, what a better way to kick the show off and showcasing the division, but put them on the map. I did think it was a little strange about having the X division champion on the pre-show, but then have the number one contenders match on the main card. But this match was a banger, though. Like, Speedball Mike Bailey, I know he's only signed recently. I think he's fantastic. I don't know how much of him you've seen, Carl, but I've seen a lot of him live in the UK. Always has fantastic matches. He's actually, I think, been banned from the US for the last 5 years, so that ban has only just lifted, so that's why he's only just signed. And I think like a bit of a hidden gem in the US. Like, I was kind of wondering where he was going to sign. It's really interesting to see what he's going to do in Impact. So yeah, well, when I throw back over to you, I kind of ask what your thoughts on Speedball were as well, because I've never seen him on screen before, so I was wondering, like, I always think his matches are fantastic in person, just kind of wondering how that translates onto stream, like when he does the kicks and stuff, for example. Ace Austin as well, big fan of Ace. I've actually interviewed Ace Austin before, and that guy, he's very, very ambitious. He's also pretty grounded, so I'm predicting like he's going to go a long, long way. Jake something for me was like the kind of unknown quantity. Like, I don't know too much about him, but I think he did put in a good showing here. He moves very well for a big man. Chris Bay, obviously, like very, very good. Probably their biggest star in the X division. So yeah, I was impressed with this match. The I don't know what you call it. Like, I've got here the scripted spots, I've called it, but where they do something where it's quite obviously they've prepared how it's going to go. But I actually thought they looked quite well done, because normally if that looks a bit sloppy, it can really bring the match down. But I think they went well. Like, for example, there was one time where Ace went to dive to the outside but missed Speedball, but then Speedball then dived off the rope. Like, that sort of thing I thought was done quite well. Like I said, I was shocked to see Jake something win, because of the four, he's probably the one I predicted like least likely to win. But one thing about Impact, I find they are very good at giving people an opportunity. Like, they are the platform where people can go and showcase their work and get recognized. So yeah, we'll see what happens with this.
Yeah, man. It's for me, I had never seen Jake something perform. I'd never seen Mike Bailey perform. I'd seen Ace Austin a couple of times over the last few pay-per-views, and I think I'd seen Chris Bay once in a tag match. That's kind of a fault of me not really keeping up with today's wrestling too much in the last few years. But hearing you talk about Mike Bailey and having seen him live and having heard the commentaries talk about 16 years he's been a professional, I was like, wow, I can't believe I've never heard of him. And when they mentioned the 5 years he's been waiting, now you've just uncovered why. So there must have been some sort of visa issue. He must have been in the country when he wasn't supposed to be, or something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame. But at least now he's getting the opportunity to show what he can do on a bigger scale, like Impact Wrestling. So yeah, again, first time seeing three of these guys. I thought there was a great spot with the suplex out of the ring onto the three guys. I felt like it was a really realistic looking spot. And as you were talking about the choreography of this match, sometimes in a match like this, if you can see that they're cooperating with one another, it can take you out of it. But these four guys really made everything that was choreographed seem realistic. So that's props to them. And I have to say, I don't like the name Jake something. I maybe there's a story behind that. But I wrote Jake something is really something. I was very impressed with this guy. And of course, Tom Phillips really popped me. I know his name's not Tom Phillips on Impact, but he popped me with a Happy Gilmore reference during this matchup when he's referencing Chris Bay. One negative, and it's not a big thing, but it's a nitpicking thing. I don't know how many guys in wrestling, Reese, do a kip up, but gosh, it's just, it seems like everyone does it. I remember back in the day, one person, Shawn Michaels, one person. And then The Rock did it. But now it just seems like everyone does it. I mean, it's impressive, but it gets less impressive when, 40 people within the same week across several promotions do it. And
with a lot of things really, like a super kick, the Canadian Destroyer, like everything like that.
Yeah, the Canadian Destroyer is becoming a massive problem right now, I think, because, geez, it's just everyone does it. Even the celebrities that come in do it. There was a spot during the match. Jake hit a power bomb, or was going for a power bomb, sorry, on Bailey, and Chris Bay kicked Bailey off him, and Jake didn't know what had happened, and then he got this poison Rana from him. I was like, that was very creative, I must say. But Into the Void for the finish. I thought this was a great match. I'm not really big on multi-man kind of matches in the last few years. I kind of feel a bit burned out on them, but they sold me, they got me. So when I go into something recent, I feel a little bit negative, like, oh, hopefully this will be interesting, and then they get me. Okay, props to them. Moving forward, bro, we have Eric Young with a vignette talking about Jay White. I thought this was interesting stuff, but we'll move forward into this next contest on the show. Jonah takes on I can't remember how to pronounce the second word. I think the word's Taurus, but it's
Black Taurus.
Taurus, right. There we go. It was the first time I've seen him with Crazy Steve of Decay. Again, WrestleMania, let me know your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, so just like a big hoss fight, really. But both the guys can fly as well. They're both big guys. Taurus especially flies like a cruiserweight. So, like, I'm not always a big fan of when the bigger guys do fly around like that, but he was actually pretty good at it. Like, and because he was the smaller of the two, like, I think you kind of get away with it. So I didn't mind that too much. But yeah, no, I thought this was a good match. There was one bit I didn't really like that much. That was when Jonah was up on the top rope, and like Taurus was climbing up to the top rope as if to superplex him or something. And then he kind of like climbs up onto Jonah's shoulders. And I'm just like, oh, come on, guys. Like, make us believe it, But, I like to get caught up in the moment. And obviously we know it's predetermined, it's scripted. You like to forget that, but like, you don't like those little reminders like that. Bringing it up to you. I've always wondered with, not just with Taurus, but with wrestlers with horns in general. Like, you've got to be careful with that. You're going to turn your opponent into a kebab, right? But no, I thought it was a pretty decent match, to be fair. And I think Jonah needed the big win after losing in his debut. So losing in his debut against a guy that doesn't work there anymore. So I don't know what that was about. But yeah, no, it was an okay match, I thought.
Yeah, that's a great point, bro. I was very confused when Josh Alexander beat him at Hard to Kill. I thought that wasn't the right move, and now he's not there anymore. I'm surprised he's not there anymore. I thought his story was really progressing quite well. So I don't know. Hopefully they re-sign him at some point. Maybe they're just going to give it a couple months break. Who knows, bro? Who knows? But yeah, first time seeing Black Taurus perform. I've seen Jonah perform in person because he's from Australia. So always been a big fan of him. I thought Black Taurus reminded me, I just kept on thinking of Manta. Although Manta wasn't as believable as this guy. This guy was quite impressive. And that's not a knock on Manta. It's just that head, the character, that's ridiculous. Jonah's strength, very impressive. I love the collisions that these two massive specimens, when they would collide with these different types of avalanches and I guess like a Thez press type thing. I really got into it because of that. You're definitely right about when you see that slight moment where the two guys are kind of cooperating with each other, like him just hopping on his shoulders on the top rope. I noticed that too. But I just kept thinking throughout the match, how could WWE let Jonah go? How could they let this guy go? You're in an era right now where people are always talking about, oh, wrestlers these days, you know, they're all really small, and the big guys are few and far between, the ones that are actually good. You got a guy right here. He's a big guy who can fly, who can move, and is believable. I would think that this would be Vince McMahon's bread and butter, this guy. I really would think that. But anyway, Jonah wins, thankfully. You know, I'm sure we all thought that was going to happen. And I would hate to take that finisher. I'm telling you right now, that splash off the top rope is certainly pretty snug looking. We go backstage here, WrestleMania. Jake Something has an interview. He's interrupted by Trey Miguel. This is kind of like the cookie cutter thing that always happens on wrestling shows these days. Someone talks for 20 seconds and all of a sudden somebody walks into the shot. It's been getting on my nerves for quite some time, because in AEW and NXT, they do it all the time. And I'm sure WWE do it too, but I don't watch Raw or SmackDown. It's just... I just wish some of the companies would think of different scenarios in order for this to happen, or for stories to progress. But it is what it is. Ace Austin interrupts. It sets up a tag match. And I also laugh over the fact that wrestlers just seem to be able to make their own matches. We're going to have a tag match this Thursday. Okay, it's already locked in, apparently. And also the promo video with the Bullet Club and Violent by Design, that feud. I think Impact's promo videos are fantastic. So it was really cool to be caught up to speed on the story going into this. And I want to ask you, before we get on to the next match, which is Eric Young and Jay White, from your wrestling fandom perspective, again, where are you at with your fandom with something like the Bullet Club?
So with the Bullet Club, I think I was a big New Japan guy back around the Okada Omega matches. Like the first one I watched, actually, I didn't think that much of it, but the later ones, the second and the third one especially, I thought were fantastic. So this is maybe where we differ a little, because I've always been a big Kenny guy because of this, because I followed his story and his journey in New Japan up to the top and winning the title. And I've seen him put on some fantastic matches. I know he's not for everyone, and I can see why. But yeah, I was a big fan of New Japan for that period, and the Bullet Club were a big part of that. Since when AJ and Gallows and Anderson went to WWE, and then since the Bucks and Kenny and Hangman split off then to form AEW, the Bullet Club has not been very good, especially when they added in Evil and Dick Togo, and now they've got that House of Torture thing, which is just awful. So it's been not good for a very long time, and it feels like it's starting to come back slowly. Like it's starting to get there, especially with, like, we'll talk about it later, but it feels like it's getting back to what it was, but it's not been good for a long time, I don't think, the whole Bullet Club thing.
Right, interesting, because yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of friends that are really into the Bullet Club and have seen the whole thing from go to woe in New Japan. Obviously, I don't watch New Japan, but I don't watch a lot of things. So I know of the Bullet Club. I know who's been in it, who's been the leader, etc. So like that's from a real casual perspective. So I just wanted to know kind of what the thoughts were from like a fan from your perspective, because whilst you and I might have differing opinions on what we like or what we don't like, and sometimes maybe I'll be messaging you late at night and I might have had a few too many red wines and I'll be ranting about this and that and what I like and what I don't like. But it's good that someone, you know, like you, who's a fan of a certain kind of wrestling, I'm a fan of a certain kind of wrestling, we can have a discussion and not get into an argument over it.
That's where it should be, you know.
Exactly, bro. It should never start delving into personal attacks and, oh, you don't know what you're fucking talking about, or you don't know shit. I just think, especially on Twitter, this kind of discussion is so difficult to have, and just be gentlemen about it and just agree to disagree. Like, and I don't have a problem with Kenny Omega. I think he's all right. There's some things about him that I think he could do differently, but you know, I also am a really big fan of Goldberg. So a lot of people out there will be like, ugh, like, so it is what it is, man. Okay. I want to get underway with my notes here for this one, because this is the first time I've seen Jay White wrestle. And obviously I've seen Eric Young wrestle many times. First thing, I hate the too sweet whoop whoop. I hate that. I don't know what that is. I thought whoop whoop was like a Juggalo ICP thing. I don't understand that, but that's.
It comes from the Steve Aoki song, you know, the 1 1 2 whoop whoop.
Okay. I'm still listening to the Rolling Stones, man. I don't know about anything past 1989. I don't know much about. Okay, I love the early going here. Solid back and forth. I like Jay White. I like him. I think he's very good. And I thought it was a smart move by Impact. This is just a random thought whilst I was watching this match. A smart move to get that kind of built-in audience that follows the Bullet Club and everything that they do. So I just think it's a good move. It might not be what it once was, but still it's got a name, and whatever it may be today. And judging by what happened at the end of this matchup, maybe there's going to be a bit of a resurgence. There was some great selling from Eric Young in this match, especially on that apron flatliner from Jay White. The pile driver on the apron was hectic. And there was a couple of roll-ups after that where I was half fooled into thinking it was the finish, but I did like the finish. I thought Jay might win, and he should have won. And, you know, props to both guys. Eric Young really hung in there and showed that he can, you know, hang in there with, you know, I guess one of the guys that, you know, a lot of people would say right now is a real workhorse in pro wrestling. Even if you don't watch New Japan, you might not know of him, but I thought he was pretty good. RhystleMania, your thoughts on this matchup here, and of course the turn right at the end there of the match.
Yeah, so I mean, Eric Young versus Jay White is not really a match I ever thought I'd see, but I guess, you know, it kind of makes sense if you're bringing Jay White in for a match, because Eric Young, one of the veterans, probably a ring general at this point in his career, is probably a safe bet. You know, he's probably hard for him to have a bad match at this point. I'm a fan of Switchblade, and I say that as someone that didn't really rate him at first. Like, he did win me over time. The reason I say that is because when he was brought into New Japan, it was with a lot of hype. Like, he debuted pretty much at the top of the card. His first match was at Wrestle Kingdom against, I think it was Tanahashi. I might have to double check that, but it was a big match, like on their biggest show of the year. You know, so I didn't quite see the hype immediately, but over time he did win me over. Like, I think he is very, very good. Yeah, so with Jay, I find it hard to pinpoint exactly why he is good though. Like, I think one thing he does do very well is his timing. Like, someone's going to do a move on him, and he leaves it till the very last split second before he hits the counter. So you're always kind of on the edge of your seat, like wondering what he's going to do next. And he did do that maybe once or twice in this match. But this was a good match. I did enjoy it. Probably one of my favorite matches of the night, to be fair. One thing at the end though did make me, when Jay White hits the Blade Runner and Tom Phillips goes, "Oh, right in the middle of a ring." He's like in the corner. He has to tuck his arms and legs in. I'm like, it's nowhere near the middle of the ring, you fucking clown. But
yeah.
No, it was a fun match. I enjoyed it.
And what do you think of the Good Brothers? I mean, sorry, this happened later in the show. My bad. I'll get to it. Just getting myself all muddled up there. We'll talk about that later. Sorry, everyone. It's been a long day. I've also reviewed Elimination Chamber. Give me a break. Yes, good match. Moving forward through the show, backstage, Ace Austin, Madman Fulton with Mike Bailey. I have some notes on this one here. Because I thought to myself, why wouldn't Ace pick Madman Fulton as his partner, considering it's his partner? I get it. It's the story that they're trying to tell. Okay, I'll give that a pass. I thought that they probably needed to reshoot this if they did shoot it earlier in the day. If it was live, then that's fine. But I just thought someone should have given Mike Bailey a note and say, look, when he asks you, make it look like you're thinking about it for a second, because he immediately just said no without making it seem like he had been asked a question, and you want to see, I guess, his mind ticking over for half a second before just saying no, I'm not interested. But then the thing was, just like that, he changed his mind, and he's like, oh, like, I just thought, come on, guys, come on. There had to be a better way to go about this. Maybe like wait through the week and have something pop up on Twitter or something earlier in the show before next Thursday on Impact, where he changed his mind and thought about it for a few days. Just a little nitpick there, Reese.
Probably don't have Fulton standing there as well while he's asking. Like, don't draw attention to him.
Exactly. You got this big fucking dude behind you, and you want to go with this guy here that you have no pre-existing relationship with. I don't know, bro. That's just me, my nitpicking nature. Next up, I found myself popping for Deonna Purazzo's entrance, and it made me think, wow, she's got over with me, and I didn't even realize it. I saw her entrance screen pop up with her name, and I wrote in capital letters Deonna. So hey, man, I think she's done a good job over the last few pay-per-views for me to be legitimately excited to see her come out. It's the Champ Challenge. She's got 2 of those championship belts there, the Ring of Honor and the AAA Championship. Your thoughts on this one here, bro? She takes on Miranda Alize. I had never heard of her, but I believe she was in Ring of Honor. So what did you think?
Yeah, no, the same as you. This wasn't a competitor I was familiar with, so this was my first time seeing her. I did think she was quite good, though, and it is good to see as well that with Ring of Honor not running shows at the moment, but they are bringing in those people and giving them that chance. That they've kind of lost their platform, so it's kind of good. I think the Impact are sharing it with them. I also didn't realize until I looked this up after the show that apparently, as part of a challenge, you get to pick which of the 2 belts to challenge for. And she picked the Ring of Honor title. Like, I completely missed this because I didn't realize until kind of like halfway through the match when the commentator said this is for the title. I was like, oh, is it? But yeah, no, a decent match. Like, not the best match of the night, but it, there wasn't anything majorly wrong with it, I didn't think. Other than the finish, I am being nitpicky, but the submission was right by the ropes. Like, I think she probably could have grabbed the ropes or got a foot on the rope, but I'm being pretty nitpicky there. That's all I can really say about that.
Yeah, that's cool, bro. I'm very nitpicky, so welcome to the club. I think Deonna needs that Impact Women's title soon and be like a real title collector right now. I think she's looking good with those 2 belts, and it will do a lot for her. I know that they probably kept the belt on Mickie a bit longer just because of the Rumble. But I think, yeah, she's really firing on all cylinders. And again, just as you alluded to, I thought it's very cool for Impact to continue to let the Ring of Honor belts be defended during the company's hiatus. So props to them, props to the NWA as well for helping them out. And I'm just thinking at this stage, I want a full-fledged company versus company angle with Ring of Honor and Impact when the dust settles and Ring of Honor do finally come back in April. I want to see something really interesting going on with these 2 companies, which are below AEW and WWE. I want to see them really make an impact, no pun intended. Alize, I felt she was very crisp. I was impressed. I thought this was a good match. And what do you know, bro? Women being given time to tell a story, it's not that difficult. And I think this is something that Impact do better than all the other companies, is really give the ladies an opportunity to get that time for their matches, to tell those stories. I've been very critical of AEW always having that one token female match a week on Dynamite. And geez, WWE had that Queen of the Ring tournament, and the whole tournament, when you count up the time, was like just over 20 minutes in total for a whole tournament. Are you out of your mind? So Impact Wrestling, I think, number 1 right now when it comes to women's wrestling, and also the NWA do pretty good with it as well. Excellent, bro. Moving forward, there was another scene backstage. Mickie with I didn't write her name down. The lady that sang the national anthem Chelsea Green, hubba hubba, she interrupts. I really liked the part where the singing ladies said, drinks on us. I loved that. And they all start dancing. Even Gia, the interviewer, starts dancing too. I like little things like that. See, when WWE try and do humor, it always comes across forced and not funny. This was them just naturally being funny, and it didn't insult anyone's intelligence. It was people reacting the way that they usually would act in a situation like that. Just wanted to put that out there, bro. Moving forward, Digital Media Championship match. I don't understand what this championship is or what it means. It's supposed to be the new version of a TV title because you're implementing the internet. I don't know. I don't understand. But either way, Matt Cardona is that champion, and he's taken on Jordynne Grace. Again, WrestleMania, what were your thoughts on this intergender matchup?
So same as you with in terms of the title, I'm not 100% sure what it's for. I do know it is like an intergender title, so it's open for everyone. But other than that, I don't know the purpose of the title, like if it is a mid-card title or what it's supposed to be, if you have to be over on social media to challenge for the digital media belt. I'm not 100% sure, but I guess we see how it goes because it is still a new title. Speaking of, being over on social media, Matt Cardona, I think, has done a tremendous job of reinventing himself since getting released from WWE. You see a lot of people, like, they get released and they kind of coast on their name value and they do their indie shows and they don't really do much. Like, they just continue as they were and they've got the name so they can keep getting paid from that. But Cardona's completely wiped it clean, reinvented himself. Like, it's really exciting to watch him now, see what he's going to do next. So when I keep up with him on social media to see like what kind of shenanigans he's up to next. So yeah, that was good. And the Impact have always been pretty progressive in terms of, well, like you were saying, giving the women the spotlight, but also in terms of the intergender matches. Like, we had a few years ago, Tessa Blanchard winning the world title. So I think they've always been quite ahead of their time in that sense. Like, I personally am in favor of intergender wrestling. Like, I know a few people are against it, but I'm in favor of it if it's done right and if it's not done every single match, if it's like used as a a special attraction kind of thing. And yeah, I think this match went good. Like, at times I even forgot, that it was a man facing a woman. Like, I was just like, oh, it's just a match, I guess Jordynne is absolutely shredded anyway, so that helps a lot. And it was a fun match. The ending, I was a little surprised that it was a disqualification with a low blow, considering he was about to hit her with a chair. So I thought if anyone was going to be disqualified, it would be him. But it was a title match, so I suppose it doesn't really matter who got disqualified because he'd have kept the title anyway.
Yeah, bro, I thought that was interesting. I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. And to rebut what you were saying about Cardona and reinventing himself, I totally with you on that. He has done a very good job. I'm still, though, sifting my way through taking him like 100% seriously, only because of the way WWE depicted him as Zack Ryder for so long. And it's not his fault. You're only as good as the creative given to you. And it was a bit of a goofy character at times. So, he's really wanting to be taken seriously now. He's the NWA World Champion. So props to him for making such a big name for himself last year. And, not just Impact, but also, NWA and, of course, GCW. As far as this conversation about intergender wrestling, I for one am not a massive fan of it, but again, if it's done right, as you said, it's okay. Like, when I see China, okay. When I see Beth Phoenix enter the men's Royal Rumble that year, however long ago that was, okay. Like, she's pretty built. Jordynne Grace she might be a bit shorter, but geez, she has this physique like no one else, as far as I'm concerned. She's so built. And like, I bet her thighs could squeeze my neck and pop my skull off. And I'd welcome it. I'd welcome the challenge. it was a great start to the match. I was getting into it, you know, because again, I have those feelings going into something. I've already seen this match, you know, a few weeks ago. I'm not sure if I'm interested in a rematch here, but I was really getting into it. She looked like a threat. Cardona, he's a pro. He has great facial expressions during the match. The only thing I don't really like about intergender wrestling is seeing a guy, you know, punch or kick a woman full force in the head. That's kind of the only problem I have with it. I just don't really like seeing it. I know when I see it on like The Sopranos and one of the guys backhands a stripper or something like that, I feel like that, you know, that feeling of rage building inside you when you see something like that, even though it's a TV show. It's the same thing I feel when I see, you know, him running and full force kicking her in the head. But it looked great, I must admit. And these two worked together so well. I thought it was really humorous, the finish, because it's like Cardona got away with it because he baited her in with the chair and he got kicked in the nuts and he got her disqualified. So now he doesn't actually have to beat her properly. He got out of there scot-free. So except for the nut shot, of course. But I found it interesting that, you know, the little weasel himself, Matt Cardona, managed to get out of the situation somehow, some way. Moving forward, WrestleMania, Gia backstage interviewing Tasha Steelz. Was it bad? But this was all set up for this thing that happened, this interesting development. Eddie Edwards is found knocked the fuck out backstage. I was like, oh man, what's going to happen next? You know how rare it is, Reese, for me to feel these feelings in 2022 with wrestling. I really liked it. What did you think of that kind of development through the show?
Yeah, I think it's good. Like, you mentioned this earlier in this recording, actually, but how you're not a fan of it. It always just goes backstage for an interview, and you rather they find like different ways of doing it. Been watching a lot of Attitude Era recently, and I would agree with you on that. I'm a fan of how it would always go backstage to like some segment and then something else. Like something would always be going on, and it never felt staged like the interviews were. And this was something a bit like that. Like obviously they're doing the interview, but then there's something going on over there. And yeah, I think it really did throw a spanner in the works. Immediately, though, I was thinking, you know, there's something going on here, because I thought maybe Chris Sabin had taken him out because he was the one that was there, you know, the first person with him. Chris Sabin was a big Ring of Honor guy back in the day, so immediately then I was thinking, something's going on here. Then also, I think the commentators had also mentioned, or maybe it was after this match, they mentioned that match was main eventing. So I was like, if that's main eventing, you know, something's up here. So it did get those calls going, but it did got me interested, and it did keep me hooked till the end of the show, because I knew something was up, but I wanted to see what it was.
Yeah, good call, bro. Yeah, you're right about the Attitude Era as well, because what was so great about that is like there's matches going on in the ring, but there's this whole other universe within the backstage area where there's a lot of different things happening. So you cut to this, you cut to that. Of course, there's going to be things happening all over the place. It's realistic that way. And you know, I thought that, yeah, again, this was something that was a little bit different. I thought it was Steve Macklin. You know, they got me, bro. Like a hook, line, and sinker. I thought that he was going to be turning in that main event, and man, they got me so good. Moving forward, bro, the Good Brothers, the Guerillas of Destiny. You know, this is something that I think I'm sure a lot of Bullet Club fans, New Japan fans might have been hoping to see one day. So it's good to kind of tie off this kind of story. That's what I was thinking going into it. Little did I know that this is probably just the beginning. I thought there was great physicality early on. The story was built very well, very good fundamental tag wrestling. I just never seem to be offended or have my, I guess, intelligence insulted with Impact, especially with the stuff in the ring. I liked the stuff with the gunstone reversals. Both teams just were going all out, and again, being given the time necessary. Like, how hard is that, WWE? Your tag divisions suck, and it's not on the wrestlers. You just don't give them fucking anything to work with. But again, I couldn't believe it, man. I couldn't believe it that Jay White turned on Tonga. I was like, again, they got me. I didn't see that coming. Not even a mile away. And, it appears that they're back in the group. Interesting stuff. What did you think of all of this?
Yeah, no, same as you. I absolutely did not see that coming, like, whatsoever. A couple of years ago, this is a kind of match that would have had a lot of buzz. I didn't think this match would happen because I think they would have capitalized on it straight away. Probably could have main evented a pay-per-view a few years ago, maybe even been pretty high up on the card at Wrestle Kingdom. For some reason, it just never seemed to happen. I don't know whether when they left for WWE, if there was some kind of bad blood there or something, because it took a while. When they got released from WWE, they didn't sign with AEW, which I was quite shocked at, and it took a while until they did show up. So I'm not too sure why that match didn't happen sooner. And it's a bit weird that it did happen on an Impact card of all places, not AEW, not New Japan. But I'm glad it happened because it's one of those matches, I'm not going to call it a dream match, but it is a match that has been a long time coming. And it's good to see it finally happening. You said the big talking point though being Jay White hitting the Blade Runner on Tama Tonga, because he's the leader of the Bullet Club, and I'm not really sure where we go from here. I guess the Good Brothers are back in the Bullet Club, but then the GOD kicked out of the Bullet Club. I'm not really sure where we go from here. And Bullet Club's not even really an Impact thing. It's like a New Japan thing. So I don't know where we go from here. There are rumors I've heard that Tama Tonga's New Japan contract has expired. And Tangaloa was never actually signed to New Japan, I believe. I think he was just there on a pay-per-appearance kind of deal. So it does make me wonder whether they're going to sign with WWE or sign with AEW, or I don't know, to be honest. Maybe this is going to be the feud going forwards. But yeah, it's one of those things, like you said, it's a swerve and it's got you hooked. It does make me want to tune in next week to see what's going to happen, which I think is if you're going to swerve it, that's the right way to go about it.
Yeah, definitely. I guess it's kind of if they didn't do this here, then I guess this story would kind of probably end here. So we'll see what happens going forward. It should be interesting nonetheless. Speaking of interesting, up next, Impact Knockouts Championship, Mickie James taking on Tasha Steelz with Savannah Evans at ringside. What did you think of the second ladies match on the main card of this show?
Yeah, I thought this one was good as well. You got Mickie James with all the momentum going into this. Of course, recently won the title from Deonna, appearing in the Rumble with the title. She's got all the momentum going into this. Tasha Steelz not someone I've seen a great deal of. I did see her at the last show when she won the first female Ultimate X match. I think she put in a good performance here tonight as well. I've been watching the Ruthless Aggression documentary yesterday, and the episode, the women's episode, the Revolution before the Revolution, just reminded me of how good Mickie James actually is. And watching this as well, she doesn't seem to have slowed down with it. She can still go. So yeah, it was a good match. I enjoyed this match. Chelsea Green coming and interfering as well. I'm not sure where we're going with this. Could she possibly be the next challenger? Because I forget what happened exactly. She interfered, but she kind of botched it, right?
I don't know what quite went on there. She ended up getting bumped off the apron or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, again, Mickie James is just killing it. The last few pay-per-views I've seen her on, and on the NWA shows I've seen her on, she's still the same Mickie James that I remember from back in the day. It's crazy. So again, another great outing for her. Tasha talking shit to Nick Aldis during the match to the camera was fantastic stuff. I thought then it was followed by her copping this sweet neck breaker on the floor, which I was like, shit, that looked pretty snug. I like the way that they utilized Savannah Evans at ringside there being the insurance policy, because this is what I guess a bodyguard type character should be. In one fell swoop, the complexion of the match should completely change from them doing one thing. That's the best way to sell it. Mickie had great fire on her comeback. I thought the kick to the vagina was fantastic stuff. That's something that you don't see very often. And an interesting story-driven finish there with Chelsea and all that, even though it was a little bit messy. But I think this would be a good role for Chelsea, being in that she's going to end up being in this best friend role, I can see, and perhaps she's doing that to try and get closer to the championship. So we'll have to see what happens with that going forward. And speaking of going forward, backstage, I don't know if you had the same issue for me, but after this, there was no audio for the Team Impact thing at first, and I thought there was something wrong with my laptop again. But it's announced that Eddie is out of the match, which was interesting, and now Willie Mack will be taking Eddie's place. So yes, again, the story is being threaded through the show before we get to it. Again, here we go. Moose, Morrissey for the Impact World Championship. Brian Myers is on commentary. I'm going to run through my notes here. RhystleMania. This is two big bulls going at it. I'm excited to see these two clash. I think Morrissey is the most improved in pro wrestling from the last year. I just very impressed with where he was and now where he is, especially with his look, but his work in the ring. He's just a guy his size. He moves so quick. He's really doing quite well. Great table spot. The utilizing the ring and things around the ring as unintended weapons, which is, an interesting way of building that heat between the two. I'm pretty sure Morrissey just dropped a massive F-bomb live on pay-per-view there at one stage when he powerbombed Moose onto the ring apron. And then there was a great, huge clothesline that turned Moose inside out in the ring, which was it just kept building and building. This is a great world title match. The rope break stuff was great, but also a little anticlimactic, in a sense as well, because you kind of felt both times the referee had botched or something like that. But, and at this point, I'm thinking, this is such a great show. Fuck you, WWE, for what you put me through yesterday with the Elimination Chamber and me being mad the whole show because you just keep doing the wrong thing by everyone. Yet here on Impact, again, I think this is the 5th pay-per-view now that we've covered. And again, they're just putting on great pay-per-views. They're giving the wrestlers a chance to do what they've got to do to get their particular match and segment over. Moose had some great athleticism to jump up to that top rope so quickly for that superplex, which was very impressive. Moose wins. What a great match. Just very, very happy with that world title contest. RhystleMania, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'll have to echo a lot of what you were saying. Like, it was, a good title match. I was a bit odd to see it not main eventing, but I suppose it does make sense when you think about this this invasion multi-man matches. That's the big thing that's going on at the moment. So I guess it does make sense with that main eventing. Of course, you had the women main event in the last pay-per-view. So this title's kind of taken a back seat for the last couple of shows, but it was a good match. And like you said, Morrissey, I thought he was very impressive. He did like this one big boot at one point. So I thought it was good. He reminds, and I mean this in the best way, he reminds me of like a young Test in a way. Like he's big, but he's explosive. And yeah, like you said, he has improved a lot since his WWE run, and he's looking really good, like in great shape as well. Because, when he was released, there was, I think he did put on quite a bit of weight at one point. So he's back looking in fantastic shape again now. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does pop back up in WWE at some point, because they love their big guys. So, but yeah, like it was a good match. Moose absolutely spamming the spear and eventually picks up the win. I think Moose has come on a long way as well. Like when he first started, he was I'm talking, years ago now. It took a while for him to get the hang of it. He's improved a lot slower over time, but now I think we're seeing the finished product that is Moose. It's a bit of a shame the way they put the title on him. I think a lot of fans didn't like that, but he's really now stepping into that main event position, and he's putting in good showing. Like, he's having a good title run so far, I think, and he adds to it with this.
Absolutely, bro. Yeah, no, I think he's doing a really good job, and he looks the part. He feels like he's a star. He looks like a star. So yeah, chuffed with that matchup there. Time to get to the main event here, RhystleMania. Honor No More, Team Impact, 10-man tag. Oh yeah, bro. What did you think of the main event of this show?
I really liked it. Like, I almost feel like invasion angles never seem to work. Like, off the top of my head, I'm thinking like the WCW invasion, like Retribution from a year or two ago, like the Nexus. They never seem to quite work, but this, I think, is going very, very well, and I am enjoying it. I also do like the idea. I'm a big fan, but it's not Ring of Honor that's invading them, but it's like a rebellious group that's defected from Ring of Honor. So it's not necessarily a promotion against promotion, but it is still an invasion of sorts. So I am a big fan of that. And we've spoke about this a few times tonight, but we're saying, like, giving the big opportunities for the people from Ring of Honor. Like, these Ring of Honor guys, they've just come to this company. They're already main eventing a pay-per-view. Like, they're getting a big opportunity here. So it's good to see it. You said Eddie Edwards was laid out, Willie Mack brought in. I thought we've seen that enough times in the past to sort of know where this is going. Like, something's up here. PCO, man, he's a fucking madman. Like, part of me like doesn't like seeing someone do the bumps like as crazy as he does. Especially, someone his age who's already had a great career. Like, I sometimes feel like he doesn't need to be doing that. But at the same time, I probably am a bit of a hypocrite, because every time he does it, I think it's awesome. I absolutely love it. So it's very exciting. You don't know what he's going to do next. There was one bit where he goes for a suicide dive, but the guy moves and he just goes for it anyway. And just like suicide dives to the floor. I was like, what is he doing? He's absolutely crazy. There was a really cool ref bump as well, where I hate when the ref is just in the corner and he just gets touched and goes down for like 5 minutes. This ref bump, like he got thrown out of the ring. That was awesome. Vicious bit where PCO is on the top rope going for a senton onto Rich Swann, and so I think it was Rich Swann and Willie Mack, but there were two people there, Rich Swann being one of them. And it's like he landed on Rich Swann's head. Like, Rich Swann just looked at him like, you nearly decapitated me, bro. But like I said earlier, like I've seen, the match and then someone being laid out earlier on to kind of know where this is going, especially when he came down with the kendo stick. Everyone else clears out of the ring, and who'd have thought it? The former Ring of Honor world champion joins the Ring of Honor team. Even though I kind of knew like something like that was, I thought it was maybe going to be Saban. I knew something was up, but it was still exciting, and I did enjoy it a lot. It ends with the Honor No More picking up the W as well, which is not how I expected it to go, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree, bro. I feel almost embarrassed that I was just so stupid to not see certain things coming. I really thought that they were going with Steve Macklin as the untrustworthy guy on Team Impact, but I'll get to the turn when I get to it. This is kind of like my running commentary of the match that I've written in my notes here. Excuse me. I thought this is a great angle. This could be huge. This should have been something that could have happened with AEW and Impact when they did that angle with I guess Don Callis and Kenny Omega. That whole thing was very confusing for me in comparison to this. This one's just straight up. We understand what the angle is and what's going on here. And you did make a good point. This isn't necessarily Ring of Honor. This is Honor No More. These are guys that were in Ring of Honor that are getting together to to raise some hell here in Impact. I thought it was a really realistic way to start the match with on something of this scale, with the brawling and not being able to get things organized referee wise because of it. And they finally get things underway. One nitpick, sorry, with Rich Swann. I've said it on almost every single show I've seen him, but the leg claps, the slapping of the leg, it's so over the top and it's so noticeable. He even claps his leg when someone else hits him. You know, he should just go all the way and slap his leg when someone tags in, bro. I'm telling you. The Impact ring also, I don't know if you noticed it, but I thought, man, the ring is so loud when people are running across it and taking bumps. I don't know if they just had some problems with the microphone on the ring or whatnot. PCO, he's the freak that Dr. Luther wishes he could be. He's so believable in that gimmick. The showdown with him and Rhino for the stare down was great. And their back and forth was very entertaining considering what both their characters are. Great quick tags from Team Impact. That Hurricane Rana by Swan on Taven colliding with Bennett was sweet. I also wrote, Vincent reminds me of wrestling's Charles Manson. I hope that's what he's going for. Again, impressed with PCO. He's just reinvented himself and kept relevant in this day and age. And of course, again, to reiterate, Brian Hebner with that great bump as a referee, he's becoming just as good as his father as a referee. You can tell that these guys are putting their whole heart into this match. And so that's what gets you invested. And yes, PCO and Vincent with those moves on Swan and Willie Mack on the ring apron. I saw him land on Rich Swann, and yeah, I could tell from Rich's reaction that he was like, shit, bro, you squashed my head. But this is how ridiculous my mindset was WrestleMania. I was like, gosh, it would be great if Samoa Joe came out and everyone's like, oh, whose side is he on? But I'm sure that he's just taking a bit of a break right now. He's maybe still in that 90-day period.
That would have been absolutely awesome if
that happened.
That would have been an all-time moment.
Absolutely. That would have made headlines across the world. PCO's moonsault is just, he's just pushing it to the limit there. Then Maria gets involved. You know that here we go, something's about to happen. And that's when I realized, as soon as Eddie came running out with that kendo stick, I was like, oh, he's going to turn. So it didn't get me when he did it, but like about 10 seconds before he did it, it finally clicked on. Oh my God, they got me. Those cane shots were fantastic. The one on Rhino, Rich Swann copped it sweet. What a great swerve. I was just so happy and excited. What a match, what a finish. It made so much sense, WrestleMania, yet I didn't see it coming. That's how you fucking book. That's how you book the ending of a pay-per-view like this, bro. I just am completely chuffed with Impact Wrestling right now. Never thought I'd say that about a current wrestling product in 2022, but they're just really impressing me with everything that they're doing and all the moves that they're making. So that brings us to the end of the show, bro. And as per usual, at the end of our reviews, we like to rank the shows out of 10. So what would you give Impact's No Surrender out of 10?
I'm thinking maybe a 7.5, maybe an 8. It was a solid show throughout. You know, is it like an all-time show? Probably not, but there's not really any complaints I can have about this, you know. I'll give it a 7.5.
I think that's a good rating too, because that's exactly what I was thinking. 7.5 out of 10 for Impact's No Surrender. I gave Hard to Kill a 9. I just love that show so much, but I think Impact are firing on all cylinders right now. And it's just, it was a great experience watching this today. And WrestleMania, I want to thank you for your time being on this review show. I know we had a little hiccup earlier with my laptop freezing as we first started recording, but this has been a great experience to have a chat with you and talk about our thoughts on this show. And I want to give you the floor right now to let everyone out there know where they can find you, what you're up to, what's going on in the world of WrestleMania.
Oh, so I wasn't expecting this, so putting me on the spot a bit here, Carl. But you can follow me on Twitter at RhystleMania. I'm also on Twitch and on YouTube. Kind of doing a little bit of everything. It's all wrestling related, but I don't really have a niche. It's kind of a bit all over the place. I am playing a lot of WWE Supercard at the moment. I do also try and do like some retro reviews of all the WCW pay-per-views on YouTube. 2K match simulation. There's going to be a lot of WWE 2K22 when that comes out in the next couple of weeks as well. If you're getting that, Carl, I'll have to give you a match at some point. So yeah, go check that out. I just want to say as well, thanks, Carl, for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure to do this with you. Something I've been wanting to do for a long time. So yeah, absolutely enjoyed it.
Thanks, bro. Honestly, the pleasure is all on this side of the planet here, my friend. Really just had a good time here with you. We'll do it again someday for sure. And everyone out there, all the links to where you can find WrestleMania in the description down there on YouTube. You can find him there. Follow him. Follow his stuff. Very good stuff. He's a master at what he does. He certainly is the 21st century digital boy, that's for sure. So again, WrestleMania, thank you again. And thank you, everyone out there, for watching our review show here on the WZWA network of Impact Wrestling's No Surrender. I'm Karlifornia. This is my Welsh best friend, WrestleMania, and we will see you down the road. Thank you.